So a quick recap of market action this week. Certainly we have seen quite an interesting one. The lifting of risk-off sentiment had brought most of the global equity markets up at the start of this week. S&P 500, Dow Jones and also the Nasdaq had all touched triple all-time highs in this week. However, into the end of this week, North Korea's firing of another intercontinental ballistic missile had weighed upon markets. So the S&P 500 E-mini futures was seen at one point down about 0.2% on Friday, and certainly many of the Asian markets, including the Hong Kong and the Straits Times index itself, were really weighed. So into the upcoming week, what are some of the items that we are going to look out for? I do think for the full suite of events, to look out to the IG economic calendar, but I'm just going to highlight a few items to really focus upon. So next week is truly about central bank meetings. We have the Bank of Japan and also the Fed FOMC convening with decisions all due on Thursday in Asian Singapore hours. So the Fed FOMC is expected to decide on rates and announce their decision at 2 a.m. Thursday Singapore time ahead of the Bank of Japan decision. As things stand, the Bank of Japan is really not expected to do anything different for what they've been doing currently, but the Fed itself is going to be the real key highlight for the markets. So I do think there are a few moving pieces for the markets currently, and those are the balance sheet tapering, which the market is really expecting. July's Fed FOMC meeting minutes had highlighted this could happen relatively soon. An announcement is expected to be made, but with the kind of preparations that we've seen, the reaction in markets could really be muted. But more interestingly, it's more about what the Fed's outlook and also their view in terms of interest rates is going to be. So we do know that there's actually two schools of thoughts at this current moment, with some Fed members actually advocating a more hastened pace, whereas there are actually other members themselves looking at the fact that inflation had yet to reach target. So the core PCE number at last came in about 1.4% year on year, certainly not meeting the Fed's target. And despite the fact that we have seen the latest CPI data at 0.4% month on month, that itself had actually sent the rate hike expectations for December up slightly to about 46 to 47% based on the CME Fed Watch 2 and also Bloomberg's Fed Fund Futures expectations. I do think that the market, especially the Fed members themselves, they are going to actually have a more dovish stance, and that's because we have quite a lot of things to look out for in December, and that really highlights the uncertainty. So you have the debt ceiling as one of the item, and in addition to that, we also have a little bit of uncertainty with regards to who's going to take over the Fed and who are the new additions to the Fed FOMC. So I do think that itself could set the Fed themselves on a more dovish stance, and that could actually be a blow to the US dollar as well. So do watch for reactions over there. The dollar index itself was last seen supported just above 92 level. Of course, you have data coming through on Friday as well, so keep a watch of that. And of course, market PMI data, the preliminary September market PMI data will be out on Friday as well. As things stand, the Europeans and also the US will be releasing this, so Euro US dollar may see a reaction as well as with past iterations. For the Asian markets, we do not really have too much of a lead. Several central bank meetings, but for the Singapore local market, I do think the market is going to be looking out for the non-oil domestic numbers at the start of this week. A little bit of a positive expectation over there. It's expected to be up about 2.1% year on year, and should we actually do get that data, it could be a little bit of a support for the Straits Times index, which had really came off today Friday here following the North Korea tensions. So to look out for these items in next week's trade.